Hi everyone, welcome to Pawpaw's Workshop. You know, for the longest of times, ever since I started making the videos, I've always had a problem with lighting. Even though I've had tons of lighting around the shop and the ceiling, I still have a lot of shadows. And when I zoomed in on those projects up close, the light was really harsh. So today I decided to build my own softbox out of materials that I had around the shop to be able to solve that problem. And I'm using that light right now, because if I turn this light off, you can see the shadows come into play, and it makes for a much more difficult to get the lighting correct. So I really love my new lights, and I want to show you how I did it. So let's get started. Now, I've seen a lot of these different designs on the internet, but one of the things that I have not seen is these tabs. So what I have literally is a tab right here that when it's cut, it folds and helps hold the next panel next to it. The other one across here is another tab that helps hold on the diffuser. So these two tabs make all the difference in the world over anything that I have seen when I was looking to design that. Now what I did is I'm just using inexpensive Dollar Tree foam that you can pick up at the dollar store. And I wanted my base to be 5 inches. So that's my base right here, 5 inches. And then off the center line, I came up here. My parchment paper is 15 inches wide. So I went ahead and made this for 15 inches because what I want to be able to do by using this flap to fold down, I'll be able to make my diffuser where it's 14.5 by 14.5 on the inside and support my parchment paper. The measurement that I use going this way is 10 inches. So now you have 5 inches, you have your 15, and you have your 10. So those are the basic dimensions that you need to make this. These tabs are 1 inch wide, and they can really be any length that you want them. I made my tabs 9 1/4. But you could make it 8, you could make it 9, you could really do anything that you want. But these tabs are really useful. The tab across here is also 1 inch wide, and I have that where it'll cut and fold to the outside. So this is about as simple of a design as I could possibly make. Now, I haven't seen these tabs being used anywhere else on YouTube, and I think they are a huge plus in putting this light together. Now, I used a utility knife just to cut these panels out, and now what I'm doing is actually scoring the tab itself. And I'm cutting a notch for the fold, and I'm also cutting a notch in this that's 5 millimeters wide because that's the thickness of the foam itself. And I'm just taking a little pick and digging out the foam. Now this Dollar Tree foam has paper on both sides of it, and I'm leaving that paper on the foam. And now when I cut this slot, I did not cut all the way through. I did not cut the paper on the bottom side. That paper is actually going to be used to help fold the tab over into place. Now that I've got the slot cut, I want to be able to show you up close. This tab will actually fold and sit on top of the panel, and that paper actually forms a very nice edge. And this gives me a lot of gluing surface to be able to hold this tab in place. Now for the tab along the top, I really don't need to have that slot because all I'm going to do is fold it where it bends outward. but this time I'm going to cut the foam all the way through to the paper on the bottom. But again, I'm not cutting the paper on the bottom. That's going to act as my hinge point. And you can see that bends perfectly using that paper. Now I'm just going to take a moment and cut the other 3 panels exactly the same way, and then I'll be ready to assemble. Now I'm using the hot glue to be able to assemble this, and all I'm doing is just putting the glue along this edge, and then I'll put the other panel right in place, and that glue will hold it perfectly. And this takes just a little bit of time to do. It just slides in place. That tab helps to hold it in place while the glue dries and adds a lot of extra strength to it. And then I can just come back and add a little bit of glue to each end, and that's going to hold it really, really well. One little tip that I want to give you, I'll put a little hot glue on the end of the glue stick and then slip it into the back of the gun and push it against the glue stick that's already in there. And now I have a super long glue stick, but that makes it so much easier to be able to continue the process. Just my little tip of the day for you. Now I'm going to continue the process of gluing all 4 panels in place using the exact same method. I'm just going to simply put the hot glue into the tab, fold it up into place where it needs to be, and then I'll put the glue on the outside and put the next panel in place. Just a quick test fit to make sure that it's going to fit, and then I'll just go ahead and add the glue to it. I've got the basic shape now all glued together, and it's time to be able to cut the bottom. Now, the base was 5 inches, but I'm cutting this at a 45-degree angle. So I'm adding basically a ½ an inch to this measurement so it fits snugly in place. So I'm cutting my 5 by 5 slot, actually 5½ by 5½, and I'm cutting it at a 45-degree angle. Then just a quick test fit to make sure that it's going to fit, and I'll be ready to glue it into place. That looks great. Now this is not rocket scientist. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be able to fit snug, and that it does. So I'm just adding the glue onto it, and I'm going to slide it in place. Now I'm just marking the center of my 5½ by 5½ square to be able to cut the hole to be able to accept the light socket. This foam is so easy to work with. You can just use the blade with the utility knife and be able to cut the foam. It works great, and it's so easy. And with the hole cut, I'm just going to take the socket, slip it in place, and that works great. Now that all the assembly is completely done, I just want to go ahead and hit this with the black spray paint, and I'm going to put 2 coats on it. Light coat to begin with, because this is a paint that could potentially eat the foam, but with a light coat and with the paper on the foam, it does not hurt the foam at all. Now I don't need the reflective shield for the light itself, except to be able to hold the housing in place. So what I'm doing is just cutting off all of the shroud that I don't need, and I'm just using the Dremel and a little cutoff blade to do that. And this very soft aluminum cuts very, very easily with this. Now this is the part that I actually need, and that acts like a nut to be able to hold the socket into place. And you can see that will just screw right back on, and it'll hold the foam housing where it needs to be. Now off camera, I took this little aluminum shroud that I have here and touched it up on the sander just to get rid of the sharp edges, because there's no need to take a chance on getting cut. A quick test fit shows that I need to be able to have some extra material to be able to keep this secure in place. So what I'm doing is adding some core plastic on the inside as well as the outside to be able to give the thickness that I need, and also some extra support on this base. Now the size of these two core plastic is going to be 3 inches by 3 inches, and of course I'm going to put the hole into the center. And the easiest way to mark that center is just using the shroud itself and drawing my circle. Now I'm just using a little hot glue and gluing this core plastic right onto the base, and hold that in place for just a moment, and then I'm ready to attach this light socket into position. And that just slips into the hole, and I'll flip it over, and I'll take the other piece of core plastic that I'm not going to hot glue in and put that into place and screw in the shroud. Now this second piece of the core plastic is really just to give the proper depth that I need, and it will provide a little bit of support for that shroud against the foam, because it will not be directly on the foam. This will act like a big washer. The adjustable bracket that I'm using is actually a flagpole bracket. Now this is probably a little bit overkill, but this I think is going to work out real well because it will allow me to adjust and move the light in any direction that I need. Now I will need to add some extra support because this foam will not be strong enough. So what I'm going to do is just cut a piece of the core plastic a little bit larger than the bracket itself. And I just hot glued this into place, and I'm just going to hold it in position until that glue dries. Now I'm taking a piece of scrap black mat board that I have, and I'm cutting 1-inch wide strips 17 inches long. Now these are going to be to add the extra support that I need on the tab on the top of the lights. And with a little bit of hot glue, I'm going to go ahead and glue this mat board strips directly onto my foam tabs. And this will actually provide a lot of the extra support that I need. Now these 1-inch wide strips do go on all 4 sides of these tabs. The light diffuser that I'm going to be making is actually going to be clipped to this, and this will provide that necessary support, and it won't crush the foam. Now to make the frame for the parchment paper, what I'm doing is just cutting a piece of the mat board 17 by 17 on the outside, and on the inside that's going to be 14.5 by 14.5 for the opening. To attach the parchment paper to this little mat board frame, I'm just cutting the parchment paper to size, and then I'm going to use the painter's tape and taping that onto the mat board. Now, no fancy measurements here. I just cut the 1 inch square, taped it down, and then just marked where it needed to be cut. Then I used the blue painter's tape on all 4 sides to be able to secure the parchment paper in place. Now I'm using the blue painter's tape just because that's what I had. I'll probably change this out and put masking tape on at a later time, because the masking tape should hold better than this tape. But again, I'm using what I have on hand. Now that this is finished, it's just time to go ahead and try it out and see how it works. And one of the things that I really like is I can zoom in really up close on the project, and I don't have the harsh light that I did in the past. So much better. Now for the light that I'm using inside of my softbox, it's just nothing more than an inexpensive shop light that you can pick up at the big box stores. I'm using a 100-watt daylight LED bulb for my lighting, so I don't have to really worry about the heat. These lights are very inexpensive to buy, and they work great. To attach the diffuser to the light itself, all I'm doing is just using a little small clip like this to be able to hold it in place, because I want to be able to have access to it and change the diffuser whenever I need to. Attaching it is so simple. You just put it up in place and then attach the clip to it. And I have the mat board on this side, and of course the mat board's on the back side, and that allows for this to be able to hold in place and not cause any type of problem where that foam will get crushed. And then I have a second one I'm going to put down at the bottom, and this light now is ready to use. I'm going to make several more of these because this has turned out just fantastic to be able to improve my lighting in the shop. This simple light was really easy to be able to make, and I think it's working fantastic. And you can see right now I'm not using it, and I've got a shadow across my face. So by making several more of these, I can actually use the lighting the way I need to be able to do it to create the desired effect and improve the quality of the videos. Now in the next video that I make, I'm actually going to be taking this softbox light and adding the stand to it. And I want to show you how I designed a stand so that I can adjust the height of the light and also make it where I can move it anywhere in the shop that I want to. So you don't want to miss that one. So please subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell notification so that you won't miss out on any of the upcoming videos. I've got a lot of stuff planned. Hi everyone, thank you for watching my video today. If you like the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below and the little bell next to it so you'll be notified on the different videos that I upload. Also check out the videos over here to be able to stay up to date on the happenings in my shop. So again, thank you for watching my videos.